With the toe dipping successfully accomplished, it's time to pucker up, assume the position, and cannonball! I haven't taken this path before. Yes, I've gotten a third party, but the third party was molded after an officially licensed Hasbro toy. This time we're going all the way in. It's a third-party item that is completely, it's not an original design, because obviously they wouldn't have made it if it didn't harken back in some fashion or other to an original Takara or Hasbro release. But it's not a scale-up knockoff either. It's a completely original figure. So here we go. I don't keep close track of third-party figures. It's just, like I said, I've just been hesitant about price and quality control, materials, references, reviews, stuff like that. I've been watching it, like when I am interested in a third-party figure, and has been pointed out, the market, the third-party market is littered with all kinds of redos of this figure, that character, blah, 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 blah. Every third-party company seems to have their own take on it. So this one was pointed out because this is actually the second or third. This is the I think this is the second figure. I can't find the model number. But I didn't know. I knew about this figure only recently, like within the last few months. I knew about this figure, but I had no strong drive to get one, just because third party, illegitimate. So this is Giga Power's attempt at doing Dinobots, G1 Dinobots specifically. This is HQ-02R Grassor, or as you would know in the Transformers continuity, Slag. What do they call him, Slug nowadays because of politically correct reasons? I don't ascribe to politically correct, although I'm sure I use it without thinking about it. So, rights for women, rights for people of non-Caucasian background. Does that count? Now, in case you're wondering where I found out about this thing and why, I actually learned about this from, at the moment, oh, that's not fair, one of my favorite Transformers reviewers on YouTube, and his name is Barutazaru, or Theo Adams from Theo Awesome's Transformers Review. See a link in the description below. Although I'm sure you'll be able to pull him up, and you probably know him way better than any reference that I could ever provide for you. Does he even know I exist? Well, he's written back a couple of times. He gave me access to one of his songs, heard here. Alright, enough copyright infringing. So he did a review on this, and its predecessor, actually its successor, its brother, cousin? Not sure, because they didn't look the same. Which was, what was it? Gator. Which was Snarl, I think. I don't remember exactly. But he did a review of this. Magnificent as always, I'd like to point out to you. And, you know, choice between a Stegosaurus and a Triceratops. This one just looked a little more tough. The radiator fins on the top and the spiky tail, yeah, it's all well good. But what would happen if you had a giant shield for a face with spikes on it? I'm not a very metal person, I'm not trying to imitate him, although I totally am. I decided to go for Grassor. Grassor? It's not like he was speaking English, Ava. Come on, pick one and go with it. So anyways, I only found about this through Theo's Awesome Transformers reviews. You should really subscribe to him. I binge watch him about once every 2 or 3 months. It's fantastic. Where he also does unboxings on a regular basis. So I spent about a week and a half, like, I want to say his review came out about 2-3 months ago, and then, oh, I hope I got the right version. I can't tell. Okay, I think I did. So his review came out about 2-3 months ago, thereabouts, And I was like, wow, that is interesting. So what got me on the bug to get this thing? Well, aside from the fact the Power of the Primes is actually revisiting all of the G1 Dinobots all over again, including their own combined form for the first time ever. What's it called? Volcanicum? A Volcanicus? I think it's what it's called, which is a brutal name. And I'm absolutely planning on getting all of them. And it's probably going to feature an officially licensed version of this guy, although not obviously at masterpiece scale. G1 style master scale. Not masterpiece scale, but master scale. I think I've flipped this around, 2, 3 times already? Grasser is, maybe they're trying to go for like aggressor, so it would be like Gressor is how I should say it. Grasser is an aggressive assailant. Oh, see, there it is right there. Eager to charge at anything that might be fun to annihilate. I wonder if that includes atoms in the air. He enjoys nothing more than advancing to attack anytime and anywhere he can smell a tough fight. Grasser loves to throw flames when he is in his Gigasaur mode, and when lucky enough to find a target. Wait, scratch that. Who needs a target? Let's crumble and burn everything. It doesn't take long before his enemies find themselves in the midst of the flaming hell which Grasser is looking for any excuse to unleash. He's dumb, he's strong, he's powerful, he's not OP whatsoever in terms of canon. As I understand it, there are, nice little, not 3D, but kind of a, how shall I put it, a G1 looking drawing on the side here. This looks very nice. No, unfortunately it's all CGI or photography on the other side. Oh wow. So as I understood it, there's 2 versions of this guy floating around. There's the metallic version and the chrome version, which to me sound exactly the same. I think, I could be wrong, because it was incredibly difficult to find any information on this guy, because I'm not in the river yet of following Masterpiece Designs, who is. It was really difficult to track down where I could get one of these. I checked HobbyLink Japan. Obviously, they're not going to use it, because it's third party. They don't support third parties. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I checked Big Bad Toy Store. They had it listed, but it was already sold out. And I'm like, oh god, it's only been around for 2 months and it's already sold out because third party probably can't produce as much as Hasbro and Takara can. Better hurry. And so I just did a generic web browser search, and it turned out that ToyDojo.com had these in stock. They had both versions in stock. So I just had to like, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, then... So I just picked the one that sounded like the one that I'd seen in the review, and I'll be honest, I was not aiming for chrome or screen accuracy. That's not what I'm aiming for. So, I don't really care about G1. I'm not a G1er in even the slightest way possible. If that third-party Bayformers Prime is anything to look at. For somebody who's trying to make a really short intro, that's a really short intro you've just come up with. Styrofoam. Old school. Styrofoam in a plastic shell covering. You could have boxed it in the right direction, though. And I'll remind you, I don't collect masterpieces. I have technically 2 masterpieces, officially only 1, and then I've got that knockoff third-party Bayformer Prime. So that's the only exposure I've had to masterpiece figures ever. So I don't know the standards. I know I know the standards are way up here. But that being said, I was told this was an impressive beast. Got 2 little red faces that have been painted. One is just kind of neutral face and the other is snarling. Of course you can totally see it because, you know, autofocus. Hey, look at that. No matter how close or how far away, it's always in focus. I think just to give him, just to make sure he's part of his namesake, I think I'll give him the snarling face, which he doesn't have right now. So here's his, I think this is G1. Maybe this is like one of the animation errors. They accidentally painted it red instead of white. So they've got his red colored face with a blue visor, which I probably won't end up using. Got a pair of drill missile cannon launcher gun thingies. Well, they must be guns because they've got pegs on the side. It's a use over time friction thing. So it comes with little pegs right there. Do these come out? No, they do not. Okay. So the missiles, drills, whatever you want to call these things, they do not come out. They do not shoot. They do not drill. And I think I'm going to leave those pegs out because I'm not always going to have a pair of scissors nearby every time I transform this guy. This almost feels like die-cast metal. It doesn't have the weight, but it has the kind of the cold touch feel to it. Batteries not included. This is okay. Should I even bother putting batteries in here? I'm not sure. But it's a very generic looking G1 rifle. Pistol. I don't know. It's big enough. He's big enough. This could be just a pistol. Or is that what these things are? He's got the highlight, or lighted sword, flame sword thingy, which also does not have any batteries in it. But the batteries in this must be really tiny. Unless it's powered by the figure, which I seriously doubt they'd be able to afford that. Even the official companies find it difficult to run wires through a transforming limb. What kind of batteries does this take? Yikes. And then we've got some anti-kibble chunks, which we'll get into a little bit later. I wish you could plug these two in together. Really nice techie details. And this is just on the anti-kibble right here. I mean, it's not even that the three wires that they have on here were painted the same color, but they actually took the time and effort to paint them in separate colors. And then on top of that, some of these silver details were completely unnecessary. They didn't just do a single stroke across it with a brush or an airbrush or whatever. And no, they actually template's the word I'm looking for. They actually took the time to make a template so that it paints this little area, but it doesn't paint this area. It paints this area, but it doesn't paint this area. And by the way, this line is not painted, but the area around it is. Nice. Is this what owning a masterpiece is like? Doesn't sound any prettier from my end of things. Yeah, this guy has die-cast in him. Absolutely. Individually articulated fingers. Which die-cast does this guy have for $130, I think I paid, plus shipping and handling. Shipping and handling wasn't too bad. It was about $20, $30, so wow. His tail is die-cast. His head is die-cast. The shield around his neck is die-cast. His toes are die-cast. His other toes are die-cast. This chest plate, this silver chest plate, is die cast. God, this is more die cast than I've had in my collection since 2002 with Nimpu Sentai Hurricane. That's how long it's been since I've really gotten die cast in my collection. 2002. Huh. I just hope you can support all this weight. Oh. There's no 45 degrees, only incremental ratchets right there. It's ratcheting. Whoa, his fingers are incredibly loose. Don't you dare break on me, I just got you. I hope they have a pair of replacements in here, just in case I decide to break one of them. Or maybe just have a pair of fists that pop off and, you know, it's just a cube with a hole in the middle of it. God, that just went instantly. Okay, there's no friction in any of these joints. That's a problem. This is something that I encountered when I didn't review it, by the way, but the, oh my god. Eek. Eek. But the, what was it called? The Ultimate Edition, or the movie version, Ultimate Edition of Optimus Prime, had the winged backpack and all the accessories of the previous 3 films, or whatever it was. It also had posable fingers, but the problem is that when you try and make posable fingers at that small a scale, and they're individually articulated like this, it ultimately comes down to a question of how strong can you make the plastic versus how much friction resistance can you put into the knuckles. That's the problem. And that's something that all toy designers have been fighting for forever, you know. Even the official Masterpiece figures still have to deal with that. That's usually why you get just these 3 fingers, this finger, and maybe a single thumb. And you might get a little bit of this, but it's primarily this is all you're going to get. And maybe you'll get a pointing forefinger like that. So, I mean, yes, absolutely the fans want that, but also, yes, unfortunately, third party or not, it is still an issue. So right now these knuckles are really loose, but then these knuckles and these knuckles up here, they have little metal rods going through, at least I think they're metal, they better be metal. They have metal rods going through the middle of each of those joints. That doesn't sound painful at all. And those will have a lot of nice friction as well. The thumb is on, well actually no, all the fingers are on ball and socket joints. But yes, the thumb is also on a ball and socket joint, but right now it does have the friction necessary. His pinky is hanging like it's broken. Well, is a lack of friction considered broken? I suppose under the right circumstances, yes it is. Friction swivel. Yeah, I don't think he's been able to carry any weapon whatsoever. I don't know, that looks pretty good to me. A pair of drill rocket launchers mounted to the forearms. I mean the elbows, because, you know, that's the best place to possibly mount them. God. Getting back to those knuckles, I hope, moment of truth here, I hope the friction of the pins on the weapons is enough to hold it in place without having to worry about... I should also point out I'm not a collector of figures, action figures that have individually articulated fingers, so when it comes to me having to deal with this, there's a lot of inexperience talking here. Oh god, the friction, or the lack of friction in those knuckles. I just want to see if it'll fit in his hand. Oh, okay. Okay, good. So the friction of the plastic bars in the palm of the hand, that is strong enough The fingers are free swiveling, but it is pegged in there right now, and the thumb has been folded downwards, so he can hang on to it. Or rather, it'll peg in and hold. Friction's nice and tight there. Holy crap, that thumb joint. What the hell? It's a knuckle, it's a ball joint attached to a bar that has a swivel joint on it, or that has a friction joint on it. Oh, cool. The forelimbs, or the little knuckles of his paws, his feet. I don't think you can call them paws on a Triceratops. What would you call them on a Triceratops? His knuckles on his feet, they actually fold back a little bit. The friction in that one is fairly good. Suppose I should both give you a good once over, completely out of focus, before I decide to start breaking things. Which is absolutely not my intent, of course, but inevitably it will happen. G1 fans, please do speak up, because I never had any G1 toys. I mean, none. Well, I suppose that's not entirely true. I do have a third-party Blitzwing that came from like a Chinese company back in the early 90s. No, it might have been more the mid-90s. I found it in a, where did I find it? I found it at a gas station in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So that's really the only, well, I guess that would be a knockoff to a degree. Oh my god, are these back legs? No, they're not. Oh my gosh. There's two very silver panels on the back here, also individually die-cast metal. So that's 2, 4, all that up there. Wow. So that, I suppose that knockoff Blitzwing is technically G1, but eh. You know, I take it back. I had a couple of Micromasters. I don't remember their names, but I had a little airfield that transforms into a missile tank, except without the wheels to make it a tank necessarily. And then I had it was a large tan-colored helicopter that transforms into a base of some kind. So technically, yes, those are G1. I guess those would be my only G1. Then I've got a couple of other Micromasters. They're not the aerial bots. I don't know what they're called, but they're you know, they're definitely Micromasters. I don't know where those are. 2 tanks and an airplane. So I think that could be the only G1 I've got. Although I do have, no, I take it back, just because it's not registering. About 2-3 years ago, I purchased a complete second-hand Copytron. So, okay, so I didn't have it during my childhood, but yes, I do have a G1 Copytron. I missed my opportunity to get a Combiner Wars Copytron. Ah, that kills me. It kills me. I didn't get anything from Combiner Wars, and I didn't get anything from Titan's Returns. It just, unless you want to count Metroplex over there, which was released several years prior to Titan Wars. Kind of a prototype, I guess. I wonder if they'll reissue it. I would like to get Trypticon, though. Oh, wow, I'd love to get Trypticon. But, you know, those shady hip joints are the only thing that's really keeping me away. Let's see, G1, G1, G1. And then I've got the commemorative reissue Piranacons, Seacons, that I got from BBTS and reviewed for CollectionDX.com. Check out both of those videos, both on YouTube and the text and picture I did over on CDX.com. So actually, I have a couple of G1 toys, not necessarily all of them at one time during my childhood. Or am I still in my childhood? Transformers, Legos, Power Rangers. Alright. But I do, but actually I got my start with G2, which is G2 Optimus Prime, G2 Bumblebee, Goldbug, and then also the Constructicons, which were a proper yellow instead of neon green, which I didn't find out about until years later. I was like, why in God's name would you paint a construction vehicle green? Like, not just Constructicon green, but like neon green with purple arms. Ugh. Head is on a ball joint, although I doubt it can move very much unless this head. Oh, good. That's what I was wondering about. It's just a ball joint. Okay, so the dyno head can move back a little bit, and you can carefully wiggle his head side to side, although it is nullified a bit. Well. Oh, okay. Well, I can already tell you there's one difference between the one that I have and the one that Thea reviewed, and that is his had the ability. Oh, that's okay. So there's two differences. Doggone it, which I didn't know about. You know, I bought this blindly because Toy Dojo wouldn't list the differences between them. Like, it showed different pictures, but it didn't say this is available in this set, this is available in this set. So, okay, so there's a couple of differences. One, the horns. While the horns can come off, you don't have the optional replaceable silver-colored versions. Those are not in the box. The other thing, which I was really hoping I would get, is that there's actually semi-transparent plastic covers you can put atop the Dino Mode's forehead, or across his snout, and you can also put it across his tail, which is, of course, reflects his G1 equivalent. Unfortunately, the tail does not have the covers that I can tell, and the head does not have the covers as far as I can tell. So I was hoping to get that version, not because I needed non-G1 animation paint oversight silver replaceable horns. Like, I wasn't going for that, but I did want the covers, and unfortunately it didn't happen. Wow. Okay, so there's two differences. Like I said, I was hoping I could get those covers, but I didn't know if the covers came with both versions of Grass or if it only came with one version. Toy Dojo wasn't specific. So the HQ02R version is the can I say basic version? It comes with extra faces, and it comes with extra kibble, or anti-kibble, I guess. But it doesn't come with the G1 accurate covers, and it doesn't come with the extra colored horn spikes. Well, that's what happened to you. All right. Well, you just levitate. Okay. That little piece of styrofoam that just blew off my arm went under the plastic, up on top of the plastic, and attached itself to the inner side of the plastic. What even? Like, it went from here to down here to up there to up against there. Physics. We'll worry about that another time. Don't worry, my dad's quick on the draw. He'll get the phone. Yeah, see, you got it on the first ring. Skirt armor. Is it die-cast metal? The front skirt armor is die-cast metal. Side skirt armor is not die-cast metal, and the back skirt armor is not die-cast metal. I am okay with this. So he can do a lot of ratcheting, but he can't get up to a full 90 degrees. Suppose you don't have to. And the knee almost gets to 45 degrees. No, that'd be 90 degrees. Almost 90 degrees. And there is a swivel, friction. Stop. Almost 90 degrees to the side. And a solid ratchet, that's going to last for a while. Unless you, like, work these ratchets. I think they're going to hang around for a while. Friction joint there. I don't want to work it too hard because I'm still terrified about these fingers. Which, by the way, I suppose I should make my only attempt at getting these into a good position. Because right now they're all just kind of pointed downwards like this. The other thing is that with ball joints this small, they're very, 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 and cause it's not just a ball jointed neck that we're dealing with, but their fingers, they have to be able to bend at least 90 degrees. And when you get ball joints this small and the tolerances are that tiny, they're more likely to either break because the plastic breaks, which I don't know about the plastic quality on this, don't ask me yet. So they're either likely to break because of the quality of the material, or they're likely to break because intolerance of moving back and forth so much. And if somebody with essential tremor were to come along, which is not, by the way, a prelude to, what's that called? Essential tremor is not a prelude to Alzheimer's. No, is it Alzheimer's? No. Lou Gehrig's disease. Some people say I have ALS. No, I don't have ALS. ALS can be caught by anybody, not just somebody with essential tremor. Ava, why do your hands shake so much? Because essential tremor. Because thanks, Dad. Because thanks, Grandpa. Okay, so I'm not going to mess with the thumbs. They're just going to stay off to the side. Coincidentally, Ultimate Optimus Prime over there, his thumbs are pointed downwards as well. Yeah. I think the wrist only swivels. I don't think it points up or down. And I don't think it does this either. The other articulation I'm looking for, which I started, what, 20 minutes ago? Oh, good. The arms do go outwards. Good, 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 good. Yeah, I wonder if I can get these underneath him. Oh, don't scratch the paint. Oh, oh, did they actually do that? Oh, it's because of the transformation. What am I doing? Well, the paint scratch test has passed. This is good. What did you do, Geiger Power? What did you do? By the way, does Geiger Power do other figures? I don't know. Did they establish themselves just to make these giant masterpiece-sized G1 type Gigasaurs? I don't know. I know nothing about Geiger Power. It is its own thing, and I will leave it at that. The first of many times that's going to happen. I wish there was a way you could... I mean, I know it's trying to represent G1, and the G1 figure, you could only move the shoulders like this. I think it might have had elbows, and it might have had an elbow swivel on it. But, you know, this is the first time they've actually had to do elbows that go out in this direction. Or at least a third party's attempt at it. So, I kind of wish that the G1, the Dinobot head, had been able to shift up and backwards a little bit more. But they're kind of keeping it that way. That would have given just enough clearance for this elbow to get all the way out, or the shoulder to get all the way out to 90 degrees. But it looks like it can't. And I'll remind you, the frill on the Triceratops' frilled neck, or not frilled neck, but the frilled head mane, I guess it is die-cast metal. So which one's going to win? Obviously the die-cast is going to win that argument. And I'd also like to point out, unless I'm mistaken, I think all the gray bits you see in here have been painted. I don't think the black has been painted, but I'm fairly certain all the gray bits have been. And there's also silver spread out or sprinkled out all over the place. No, I'm going to preserve that. I'm going to preserve that friction. I need this to last for a while. Alright, let's get you out of here. You know, I feel like I'm dealing with an oversized Revoltech figure. The last Revoltech figure that I purchased, well, acquired, was, I can't remember what series it comes from, but it was Revoltech's take on Wall-E. If you go look at my text and picture review over on CDX, you'll see how that one turned out. It's dated, but relevant. They don't even make the Revoltech Wall-E anymore. Gee, I wonder why. Ah, these ratchets are great. I love it. Those ratchets gonna last a really long time. Oh, waste. Well, he's got it in the right place, but does he waste? All the panels are down. I'm inclined to say no, he doesn't. It looks like he should have a waist joint. I just can't tell if he actually does or not. Oh, there we go. Friction joint. That oversized crotch armor is really helpful right now. Oh, there was another difference between this figure and his the other version that they released. I can't think of the other version of Grassor that they came out with actually has another. I think maybe it's comic book. Maybe there's some comic book influence here and here. I'm not sure, but it also comes with a comic book version. I'll just say comic book for now. Comic book version. Or an incorrectly painted version of his thighs that were painted red. This version only comes with the black colored thighs. I can't remember if the lower torso armor was also black. I don't know. So I think the only alteration versions you're going to be getting are visors, mouth plates, and this alternate head. So that's really the only alternate versions of anything you're going to get with the, what did it say, the HQ02R version. I couldn't even tell you if this is the chrome version or the metallic version, because I don't. God, after playing with Super Sentai that's been stunted in its transformation for well over a decade now, it's such a pleasure to be able to handle this thing. So the guy who hadn't transformed to Stitch yet. Well, I guess I've reached the limits of exploration and just my transformationist instincts have kind of reached the limits. So I've reached the point of, okay, you're done exploring, now you need to actually be cautious and look at the instructions. Am I going to replace the head? Probably not. Am I going to replace the face? Yes. Which will mean replacing the, replacing the head. Oh, they actually use the word Dinobot in here. Caution, this toy is only suitable for persons above 15 years of age. That's because anybody younger than 15 years of age doesn't know what G1 is. This toy contains small parts, maybe choking hazard and other risks. What child over 15 years of age is going to be worried about choking hazards? I suppose they're obligated to put it there, so. Toy may contain sharp edges and points, thereby must be used with great care. Not intentionally sharp points. Well, now that I look at the sword. The blade is made of... Oh, another difference. Oh, the batteries. looks like two LR626 batteries, which smaller than a watch battery, I suppose. I'm not going to do that in this video, but rest assured that the sword and the head do light up. The sword, the gun, and the head do light up. So you're going to need two LR626s for the head. You're going to need two CR1025 3-volt. That's 3-volt batteries for the sword, and you have to just unscrew it here and here. And then the blaster also requires two CR1025 3-volt batteries. And you basically just split the gun right down the middle. You know, at this point, I don't think I'm even going to bother putting the batteries in here. And it's like two different batteries of a battery type I've never encountered before and will probably lose track of very easily. And honestly, it's just going to sit there for a long time. So at this point, I'm like, yes, it is capable of battery action, but I'm not really feeling like battery action at this point. Even for the head. The head actually uses a different battery from the weapons. How long has the audio been out of sync? I've been recording for 56 minutes and change. That's really going to script the audio, I can tell. Still trying to figure out why this camera doesn't. Like, don't get me wrong, this camera is well over 10 years old because I actually got it secondhand from somebody else. So yes, it is a potato. But that being said, I don't know why the audio desyncs over time, because that never ever happened when I was reviewing for Collection DX. Even when I did, you know, my 20-30 minute long commentaries, the audio never desynced. I never had to worry about that. So why is it all of a sudden it's doing it now? Is it an age thing? Is it... I don't know. Oh yeah. The third thing that's missing, which... doggone it, I wish I had that version. And here's the weird thing, though. Okay. The third... let's see. The horns, the covers... yeah. So the third item that does not come in the... is it HQ02R version of Aggressor is that you don't have the clip-on flame accessories. So you can either have a flaming sword that glows, or when he's in Dinobot mode, he can shoot flames out of his mouth. Or you can attach the clips for flames coming out of his mouth. So that is also missing from this version. And that's 2 out of 3 features I did want to have. Toy Dojo, if you want me to... what's the phrase? If you want me to purchase from you again, it'd be nice if you were a little more detailed on what... I mean, you listed that there were 2 different versions, but the pictures and the descriptions were identical to each other. So I had no idea, like, yes, there were 2 different versions and they were on 2 different pages, but you didn't say what the 2 differences were. Well, Ava, maybe if you were subscribed to to Geiga Power's Twitter feed, obviously you would have known the difference. Screw Twitter. Twitter and Facebook are addictions, which unfortunately the rest of the world hasn't quite figured that out yet. At least not enough to disown it at this point. There's one more feature I want to get to before I put this into Dino mode. They have a clip that's they have a little tiny ass plastic clip that has an articulating joint on it. Ugh, that's asking for trouble. Does it extend any further than that? No, it does not. For you G1ers out there who absolutely must, I repeat, have your G1 accuracy in robot mode. There's this giant ball joint I just noticed. This is a ball joint. Holy crap, there's a ball joint right there. And then you take the anti-kibble, and this is a Geiga Power thing. They're the ones who came up with this. Oh, we touch it afterwards. You're totally not going to see it, but here's a tiny little transformation joint I was just talking about. This little It's just a friction pin. It's just a little pin, ding, and that's it. Ugh. And that is the only thing holding all this die cast and ABS together. That's worryingly thin. And eventually it's going to give out and break because it is so tiny. Just like those knuckle joints. And then peg hole there, there and there. Let the hunt commence. Eek. This will be out of view for a moment, I'm sorry. And presumably when you switch it to Dinobot or dinosaur mode, this will just stay stored in there. You know, Geiger power, if you're going to put anti-kibble in here, it's not enough. You have to use friction and pull the thing out, especially if it's going to peg in with a friction point. I need a little something. I need a little something under here and maybe on the top here, which is not going to be seen from the inner side. You're not going to see it from this side, but I need a little purchase of something here. So I need something to grab onto. A tab, not necessarily, but an indent of some kind would be nice. Because I want to see if it's even possible to get it back out again. Because anxious, sweaty, grown-up boys like me have a tendency to lose their friction when they're playing around with something new. Which you would think that non-friction is actually a good thing for somebody my age. Okay, so it can come out. But yeah, like we need like a little indent somewhere in here, and then an indent of some kind somewhere up on the top, so we can actually, when it's in there, it's not just smooth plastic we're pulling across. We need something to grab onto, so we can actually pull the thing out. Obviously, this is just this is anti-kibble. Oh no, actually it doesn't get stored in there because I just realized this whole thing unhinges when it goes to Dinobot mode. Now I get to go to the other leg. I kind of wish the thighs or the hip swivel had a ratchet on it, kind of. Just because his lower legs are so heavy and there's so much bulk to them. I think at this point, yeah, actually the swivel should have been a ratchet. How did I do this? That's how. The other thing about that little clip, the little plastic clip I was describing earlier, is that if your engineering is not exactly so that when they come together, these two surfaces on the top are not flush with each other, you're going to have to force the clip to go up and over. So that's also a reason you don't want to use a clip like that. Or at least not a clip that small. Live and learn, I suppose. Well, I know you pulled out because I just did it. Now you can do it because I saw Theo do it. There we go. You're ruining my review surface. Which technically, yes, this was used for quite a few of my larger CDX reviews. That's what this was used for. This is all that's left of the shooting shelf, by the way. Hey, but when are you going to do your reviews again? When I can find somewhere reliable to shoot, that's when. That panel's open and just give it a yank. And don't worry about the consequences. Oh, that's going to pinch a finger. This is where the real warnings should be, right here, because this edge is razor sharp and you have to put all your pressure there, so when you pull out on that thing, it's going to be like going through a cheese shredder. Because it'll suddenly snap. I know you want it to look and engineered as clean as possible, but that being said, come on, get out of there. You know what? That's covered in enough sweat. I'll deal with it later. Oh, maybe this is supposed to go down. Oh, okay, that's what it was. As soon as I flipped up that one cover, oh yeah, then all of a sudden it behaved itself. Now the question is, can I get it back in? Yes, you can, all the way. Okay, that's what it was. So it's, if you have trouble extending it, it's this panel right here on the front of the thigh. That's where you want to, do not extend the panel all the way. You actually want to have it in a little bit, then the thing will flip in and out. But I will extend it because that's what G1 did. I saw the G2 Dinobots long before I saw the G1 ones. G1 ones? So I'm a little more attached to the G1 versions, or I'm sorry, I'm a little more attached to the G2 versions than I am the G1 versions. The G1 version, obviously you couldn't swivel that thing around and you couldn't contract it like that. Retract it, I'm sorry. Thigh bend always causes trouble. It's the nature of that particular beast with the knee joint. When the knee joint bends inwards like that, or rather when a shin joint does this, when this knee joint here does this, whether it's for transformation or not, it's always annoying. It's always frustrating. I don't care how much friction or how much ratchet they have in there. This kind of motion is never appreciated, even for a transformation. And for a figure this big and heavy, it's extra not appreciated. So it's just that tiny little toe motion that just goes like that, but then the rest of the foot doesn't support that, or the rest of the footprint doesn't support it, because the heels don't turn either. So yes, you can extend the legs for true G1 accuracy. I would not mind getting the G2 version of these guys. I know a lot of people complain about the fact that they don't have enough red and black and silver, blue as the original ones, but you know, I just kind of like that there's a little, I was raised in the Power Rangers era, so the colorings there make a little more sense to me. I'm also not a G1er. That doesn't make me a G2er? Is there such a thing as that? I don't know. But you fold those back in order to get them out of the way of the arms, but then it pushes the head forward, which, what am I supposed to do? Well, obviously, if you're supposed to compromise. Yes, I know there's a Masterpiece Grimlock. Do I want it? Sure. Am I willing to go to eBay to get one? At this point, no. Okay. Wow, it's taking me a whole hour to get to this point. How the hell am I going to edit this thing? Just to this point, it's taken me an hour. Yeah. It's that VF2SS from Evolution Toys all over again, you know what I mean? Actually, you don't know what I mean, because I never posted the video. Because it was 3 fucking hours long just to explore the thing and transform it into the 3 different modes. 3 hours, unedited. Ah. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to edit this one down, but I finally got him into a pose, which is just a thing. He's just kind of, his legs are generically spread, and his arms are generically spread, and his fingers are posed a little wrong. But here he is. You know, at this rate, I might end up just keeping him in Dinobot mode. Well, that's the point. You could have just gotten a non-posable vinyl. Oh, vinyl figures. Ugh. Ew, ew, ew. You know, I'm wondering if I shouldn't swap the faces around right now, so I don't have to worry about it in the future. Okay, so it's on a ball joint. Question is, how can I get it out of there without breaking the neck joint? Oh, die-cast metal versus flesh. Oh, God. Maybe I'm going about this wrong. How do you transform his neck? Oh, Even the internal no, okay, so the silver part is die-cast, the internal part is painted red. That's exactly what I was looking for. This will allow me to get to this a little more efficiently. What is a light-up head, not a light-up head? When your light piping gets painted over, I don't think this has lighting in it. Or does it? I don't know, I'm not sure. It doesn't specify how the faces come out. Do they just pop out? No. Do they pull down? No. Do the glasses pop off? It says yes. I think it just means you can display it without the glasses. I'm going to get under them, but they didn't leave any space. You know what? I'm going to go get some jeweler's tools. I'm going to need it in order to do this, and it'll give me a chance to reset the video anyway. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Thought I would record this part for posterity just because the goddamn screwdriver bit won't stay in. I can wrench this thing down as tightly as I want to, but the damn thing still pops out. Until they're going to lose the electronics right here, right now. Because it doesn't specify. Well, it says you take the back of the head off, but does it say you disconnect the entire head? I'm inclined to say no. Oh, paint scratch. Okay, there's the contact. Oh my god, these batteries are so tiny. If there were batteries in here, they'd be really tiny. They're like smaller than my little fingernail. And paint scratched. My fault, not theirs. So if that just fits on with friction, how do you get the face off? I'm glad I heard that just then. That's a really tiny screw to lose. Screw loose! Screw loose! Yeah, sure, go ahead and pry it out of the weakest point of the mold, Ava. That's a great idea. And another paint scratch. My fault. Well, I'd like to be able to get access to the face, but they don't tell you how. They just show you that it can, but they don't tell you how to do it. Whatever electronics are in here are about to be screwed up. Maybe I should go to their Twitter feed and see if there are any warnings available. Because I don't just want to switch the face. I don't just want to switch the mouth plates. I also want to switch. I want to switch the heads themselves. Maybe. Right. Rest in peace, internal wiring. The faceplate is tied in to the ball joint for the neck. Oh, correct. So you are meant to do it that way. And there's the tiniest of LEDs. Now I've actually seen smaller, but that being said, that's a tiny ass, very out of focus LED. And for the goggles, it says that the visor can come off, but how did they do that? Oh, this visor was painted over. Was it? I can't tell. I don't think these visors can come off. I don't think they can. I'm going to do some research. See if I can swap these heads. Or swap these faces. I know the heads can be swapped, obviously. But I don't know if the faces can be, or if the visors can be swapped out. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. What I want to do is get this blue visor off of here, because I want to have a black head with a blue visor and a snarling face, because, you know, all Autobots have blue eyes, or at least the G1 versions do. Kind of got weird after G1. So, yeah, I'm going to have to do some research before I go any further with this. I do wish these were a little caution strict. Check the instructions carefully before usage of this product and retain it for future reference. Do not violently bend or extend the parts of this toy. What exactly do they mean by violently? To prevent this toy from tipping inside the packaging or its parts falling off, do not squeeze this toy from above. What? And handling, hold on to its main body parts rather than the other smaller parts. Hold on to its main body. Just call it the torso. When transforming this toy due to our production standards, its paint may fall off. Huh? Placing this toy on or near furniture made of resin may cause its paint to fall off or be absorbed by the furniture. Well, the 1960s will love hearing about that. Please be careful not to get cut by the pegs of this product. Please discard the packaging materials immediately. No, I'm keeping the box. Screw you. Do not get your finger clamped by any joint of this toy. Oh, gee, thanks for the warning, Gag of Power. To prevent suffocation, do not cover your head with the plastic packaging bag. That's probably for the other version with the extra bits. To prevent accident, keep this toy out of reach of children under 3 years of age. Or is it 3 months of age? I can't tell. It says age of 3. Maybe they mean 3 days. Keep it out of reach of children 3 days. Research time. Okay, so here's the, oh man, it's so out of focus. I can't focus any closer. Okay, so there's the back of the head with the LED and the electronics built into it. There's the face. Now, I decided to go with, I learned a little bit while I was doing research. It turns out that and this tells you how much I actually know about G1. Am I out of focus right now? I can't tell. Okay, here's the thing. In G1, what appeared in the cartoon was not always what appeared in the toy box. This is known to everybody except me, apparently. So, this version of, what's he called? Grassor, the visor is supposed to be, for the toy, for the G1 toy, he has a black head, silver face, and red eye, or red visors, or also red eyes. He has both of those. That's for the toy. Now in the animation, it's actually this way, where he's got the blue visor, or blue eyes, depending on how they animated it, and a red face. So, I've also looked, I've done my research, and yes, it is possible to pop this off, but people have complained that it's pegged in there really, really tight. And yes, I would like to get the blue visor on there, except that the blue visor is not transparent. So, I may have to just stick with the toy version. Now, I'm still going to replace the face. I'm going to do this off camera, of course. I'm still going to replace the face on him, but I think I'm going to have to just, without choice, I'm going to have to keep the red visor, because considering how thin and potentially fragile these things are, I've heard a number of people, just the nature of third parties, I guess, and the thing that I have not experienced yet, third parties are, depending on which company you go with, the third parties tend to be a little inconsistent between the different versions when they're all trying to outdo each other. So this particular version may have a flaw related to the gold plastic syndrome, although ironically none of this is actually gold plastic. So there is a risk for that. I didn't hear anybody complain about, let's see, can I show it? Can I show it? Not really. The clip that was talked about in there, that has also cropped up as a problem. That has actually broken on some examples. The jaw joint, spoiler alert, the jaw is a little on the loose side, or at least the ball joint wears out pretty easily. So there are, at least on Grassor they do. So I don't think I'm going to record the process of, swapping faces and things like that. But just be aware, yes, it is possible to actually swap those out. Okay, So, at the advice of myself, I decided to completely disregard what I said. Has it been 10 minutes since I shot the little close-up thing, something like that? And it's been about an hour and a half since, I put the camera down and said, I'm going to do a little bit of research. So, there's a bit of a time gap in here. I decided to completely ignore myself and completely fuzzy. I did swap out the visors. Unfortunately, it meant the sacrifice of the tiniest of chipping on this surprisingly well-painted red face. And I did succeed. Like I said, I did listen to myself, and I did succeed in getting the, wow, okay, that thing. I did succeed in swapping out the visor. So it is neither cartoon accurate nor toy accurate. Shut up. But it's G1 accurate because, most Autobots and even Dinobots had blue visors and blue eyes. I mean, that's the standard that was set back in the day. Now, the other reason I did this is because I also own a couple of G1 toys. Well, as I discussed previously, I do. And one of the things that you would commonly see, even on Titan Masters, Mini-Cons, I mean, pick your poison, any little miniature figures that have real tiny little box-shaped heads, usually you just get a quick with the paintbrush and the factory, and that would be it. And, the vast majority of the head would just be, one color. It would just be the color of the mold or the color of the plastic, and then they just real quick for the face. And so I decided that it made a little more sense toy-wise to have him just do that quick little with the paintbrush on his mouth, and then that's it. So it's a little out of focus, but he's actually got, and he also has a static face. He was going, "Arr!" But he's not doing that anymore because, they wouldn't put an expressive expression like that in a G1 face. They wouldn't do that. Not that I remember. And if they were going to do eyes, then chances are they'd be kind of stupid about it and just mold them in the same color as the rest of the head. Or they wouldn't even paint the eyes. So to me, this is accurate. There's a little forehead sensor paint thingy, whatever, but that's a third-party thing, whatever. But to me, it makes a little more sense to do it this way. Now, am I ever going to attach this onto there? Not necessarily, no. That's also the reason why I didn't go with just a full-on red head and face and everything on here, is because, well, come on, even I have standards on what looks good. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be using either one of the red faces. Another detail that's missing from this is that, yes, you have to be very, very careful getting those visors off. I mean, very, very careful. I had to take a flat-edge screwdriver and carefully, patiently, tenderly wiggle it in there. And then, so you wiggle it in there and you very carefully twist it side to side, and eventually the thing comes off. Now, it is pegged in there, and the pegs on this one, I think it's the mold of the head, of the temples or whatever it is. That's why it was difficult to get this out of here. But on the red face, in my case, the red visor popped off, or the blue visor on the red head popped off very easily. So, it wasn't a matter of paint thickness or whatever it is. Okay, that's done. And I'm going to put this in the box. Where do I put this in the box? I don't remember where this goes. It goes here. It's going to fall out anyways. What do I care? Okay. Yeah. And also I figured that the blue visor, in addition to being completely non-G1 toy or series accurate, I figured that the blue visor looks kind of nice with the blue paint on his shoulders and the blue circuitry that's going around here. Kind of a, whatever is powering Grassor here is also, it just doesn't show up here and also in these power conduits, whatever it is, but it would also show up in his eyes, because cheap and easy animation and toy manufacturing. So it works well that way too. I could be wrong, but I think this is the metallic version. So I think it's hard to tell, even an hour and a half later, I'm still screwing that up. I think this is the metallic version because it has actual metal parts in it. And so anyways, the paint applications are slightly different. All the die-cast metal parts that I pointed out earlier, turns out that with the chrome version, I think, it doesn't say it on the box, and it's really frustrating. It is frustrating when even the box doesn't say chrome version, metallic version. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't say which version. Well, I think it's I think it's in the model number HQ02R. I think that's the difference. I think I think it's HQ02S and HQ02R. I think those are different. Anyways, captions will correct me. So the eyes for the metallic version, the only eyes that are provided are red. There are no blue eyes. There's a blue visor and there's a red visor, but there are no blue eyes. So you only have red eyes to work with in this version. The other thing about this version, and I actually didn't notice, I didn't take notice of this when I was watching, well, the original inspiration for me getting this in the first place, bleh, can't talk, is that Fuse, the version that he got that had all the extra accessories and stuff, all the die-cast metal parts were painted over. They were not chromed like this die-cast metal is. Is this? Thought it was. It's room temperature enough in here, the coldness has gone away. So it's a little difficult to tell what's die-cast metal at this point. There is die-cast metal in here. But anyways, all the die-cast metal parts, basically all the dino stuff, so the tail, the frills around the head, the actual skull section, and the toes, and this part here, on the metallic version or the chrome version, now I'm getting it confused, damn it. On the other version of this toy, all those parts are painted. They're still, they are still die-cast metal, they're still molded in die-cast metal, but they're painted over. And then you can stick the, oh gosh, what is it, the G1 plastic covers over the tail and over the front of the skull. So those are two differences, the colors of the eyes that are available and the paint applications on the die-cast metal parts. One of the reviewers that's on YouTube, social media, goddammit, I can't get into it for the same reason that it's so popular. Like, I can't get into it for that reason. One of the reviewers pointed out that the joint for the Dino Mode's tail, I think it's this one here. I think it was on this side here. He was transforming it for the first time ever on camera, and due to the gold metal syndrome that is inherent to the vast majority of Transformers, which is why you don't see gold plastic very often. You'll see gold paint, but not gold plastic. Look it up. The die-cast metal just plumb broke. He wasn't even trying. Like he said it in the description. He was like, "Oh shit," you know, and it dropped. It broke, and you could hear it hit the table. And he looked at it for a moment, and yeah. So I'm looking at it right now, and yeah, that joint is, or at least what connects this section to the joint itself is really thin. So I will have to be careful as well when I do this. I didn't hear many people complain about the ball and socket joints. I think that's just, it's the, not necessarily quality control, but I think it's the quality control in the fact that this is not mass produced by the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of units, however many, that Hasbro and Takara make of their toys. So it may be just, you know, luck of the draw. All the fingers on my particular version are loose, at least on the knuckle joints here. These other joints here are nice and tight, and I'm not going to mess with them too much. Actually, they're just fine the way they are. Okay, video done. I'm just going to leave it like this. Alright, let's get it into cute mode.